Over the last 2 days, we have seen a number of shooting incidents within our city that have left a number of people injured and 2 deceased. It is deeply concerning when our community is faced with violent incidents anytime, let alone within a 24-hour period. Let me assure you these incidents are a priority for the service, and any and all resources available are being utilized to find those responsible. These investigations are in the very early stages, but at this time, there is nothing to indicate that they are connected. What we now know about the New Year's Day party shooting is that 1 or more offenders were inside the residence at the party when the shooting started. At this point, our investigation leads us to believe the shots came from within the home, but also struck people outside the home. We believe this residence was targeted. However, investigators are still working to determine the motive and if any one person was specifically targeted. Both non-involved partygoers and an innocent bystander who was driving past the residence at the time were struck. We do know that the home was recently rented to the tenants about a month ago, and that we have no previous history at that address with the current tenants. There were more than 50 people within the residence. We have spoken with less than half of the people we believe were at the party. If you were at the party, we know you were probably scared. Please know we are here to help. We can provide support for victims, so please don't hesitate to call. Please also know that if you have information about what occurred that evening, we need to know what happened. If you don't feel comfortable coming forward to police, there are a number of anonymous ways that information can be passed on to our investigators. Crime Stoppers can take texts, emails, or tips through their website. We continue to ask community leaders and members to come forward. This is a complex investigation, and we need your help to find whomever is responsible. As for the suspicious death that occurred earlier this morning, what I can tell you is that just after 3 a.m. this morning, we were called to the 1400 block of 8th Street Northwest for a report of gunshots. Upon arrival, a man in his 20s was found deceased in the alley. An autopsy has been confirmed for Monday, January 5th, 2015, and his identity will be released after that. Again, there's nothing to indicate that this incident is linked to the shooting at the house party. That being said, the investigation is in its very early stages, and we are keeping all of our options open. We do believe this was a targeted incident, but the motive is yet to be determined. Our investigators are reviewing CCTV and continue to work to develop suspect descriptions. If anyone has any information about any of these incidents, please contact Crime Stoppers or police. I'll take questions.
Can you talk more about this party, and do you know if the gunmen were people attending the party?
We don't know. I wish I could tell you more. That's why we're looking to speak to anybody that may have been at the party and has yet to come forward with information.
Had anybody complained that previous to the gunshots that the party had been loud, or anyone in the neighborhood even said anything?
The first time that we were called with information about the party was after the shots had been fired.
And so you said that shots, innocent, somebody driving by was shot? Or, like, can we talk about the innocent people that were shot?
Somebody driving by was shot.
And as well as one other innocent person?
There were other people at the party that we called non-involved partygoers that were struck by gunfire.
Why do you call them non-involved partygoers?
Because we believe at this point they were not aware of what caused the incident. They have no idea where the gunshots came from. They just found themselves injured after the shots were fired.
The person who died was, like, are you separating?
We're not sure at this point. That's why we're looking to reach out to the leaders in the communities where most of the partygoers identify as, they self-identify as, to help inspire them to come forward with information about this event.
Have you had any help the last 24 hours? Have people been calling your diversity unit or anything like that?
Yes, people have come forward, and we're working with the community leaders. Our diversity unit is engaged. It's a multifaceted response. We're working with members throughout our service that have those contacts in the community. We're comfortable with the community leaders and how they interact with their people, we're just hoping that they can make those correct connections to get them to realize that it is safe to come talk to us. That
Any
we,
indication that this would be gang related?
it's too early to speculate at this time.
And the individual who died yesterday, was he involved with drugs and gangs previously?
We have no information to indicate that.
We've
He
seen
doesn't have a
convictions,
criminal-
I've seen court records that said he was charged with possessing crack or cocaine with the intent to sell.
I can't-
Pot,
okay.
probation, so surely he's got a record with drugs.
I can't comment on a person's criminal record.
How many of the injured are still in the hospital?
I can't comment on who's in the hospital or not. I know some people, there were 7 people injured. 1 is deceased.
Sorry, just about this history though, if he does have a history, wouldn't that potentially contribute to a motive potentially?
We have no information about motive at this time.
But is that not something you look at if you've got separate convictions? And just to clarify, you're not saying he doesn't have that, you're just saying you're not commenting on his criminal past. Is that correct?
I'm not commenting on his criminal past. We can't. You know, criminals have no geographical boundaries. So we're often in contact with other police agencies around the country, within the province. We're looking for any information we can to assist us with this investigation. But at this time, we're specifically focused on connecting to witnesses that were at the party that have yet to come forward.
So nobody's talked about any problems with party crashers or any disturbances at the party earlier?
No. We have no information like that.
With the Rosedale incident, was the victim shot in the alley?
I'm not going to comment on his injuries.
Do you think that he was killed at the alley, I guess is what?
At this point in the investigation, it's too early to speculate on that. If there's different scenes or anything. At this point, we do know that there is a deceased male from that location, and we're continuing to investigate.
Are there other scenes you're looking at?
We're trying to establish all sorts of information about this investigation. What I can say is this. At this point, we don't think there's a link between the 2 events. We're keeping an open mind. If we establish a link later on, then that'll become part of the investigation.
What leads you to believe that there's no connection?
Just the information we have to this point. Just for the integrity of the investigation, I can't comment on it.
I noticed that the crime scene in Rosedale, aside from the alley being all taped off, there's one particular home that was also taped off, pretty close to when the body was found. Is there?
You know, I haven't been to the scene, I'm not sure. The scene itself, just like any crime scene, we try to make it as big as possible so that we can work our way in the hopes we don't miss any evidence. But I haven't been to the scene, I can't comment on that, and I have no information around it at this point.
For the Rosedale one, how many crime scenes are you at?
At this point, I don't know the answer to that.
And the other one, how many crime scenes?
The other one being
The New Year's Day.
the New Year's Day. We are at, I believe, 1 right now, looking at the 1 crime scene.
So there is possibly more from this one.
We would like to know much more about both incidents. Part of the reason why I'm here today is to appeal to the public to come forward with information.
Were there any witnesses to this morning?
At this point, we're interviewing some people that may have information about the event, but whether or not they are witnesses, it's not at this point that I can tell that. So.
Are the community leaders telling police that some of these witnesses are scared to come forward and come at you?
The community leaders are engaged. We know that there's, like in any crimes, if people have information, sometimes they're hesitant or anxious to come forward to the police. So we leverage those relationships in the community to hopefully make sure they understand that it's safe to come forward, that we have the ability to deal with these things.
Sorry, which exact communities are you contacting? Any specific nationalities or anybody from any specific countries that you're focusing on specifically regarding both incidents?
I want to say right now, everybody we're looking for information from. Last night we had people, from the house party. We had some of the witnesses that we spoke to self-identified as being from the Somali community. So it was natural for us to contact leaders of that community. However, there was a number of other partygoers we've yet to speak to, and as to what nationalities, what communities, we don't know until they come forward. So we're excited to try and connect to them to find out more information moving forward.
Is your Rosedale victim Somali as well? You know?
I can't comment about the identity of the Rosedale victim yet. Autopsy scheduled for the 5th.
The Rosedale victim wasn't a resident of that area.
I can't comment on that either.
Do you have any possible suspects for the Rosedale incident?
At this point, no.
And have you identified any suspects from the New Year's Day?
New Year's Day, we have no suspects.
Any other questions?
How do these two incidents so close together kind of tax the homicide unit, just in terms of resources and manpower? Does it make things tougher than normal? Or?
We have a very dynamic group of investigators, not only in major crimes or homicide, but throughout the service. We often utilize the expertise across other areas to help us with response to back-to-back events. I think with this event, the one that makes it a little more dynamic is the fact that we have a party with about 50 or 60 people, and we've yet to speak to even half of the people involved there, and we don't have a clear picture of what actually went on.
The New Year's Day victim, was he a party guest? Was he a host? Was he one of the tenants? Can you comment on that?
Even if I could, even if I wanted to comment, I couldn't. We just don't have that information yet. We don't have a very clear picture. We have witnesses, the ones that we have spoken to, they're not very cooperative. And like I said, with a number of outstanding potential witnesses to that event that haven't come forward, we just can't comment on that because we don't know.
Is this, not to make it for yourself, is that quite unprecedented to have dozens of people at a party? Most of them would have seen something, and 24 hours later you still just don't have a picture?
No, it's not unprecedented. It's just that it's a reality, so we have the ability to deal with it, and part of it is talking here today, is explaining how we do things to provide a professional integrity to investigations so that witnesses or victims or anybody involved in the process feel comfortable with coming forward with their information.
Any weapons recovered at all?
I can't comment on that right now.
The New Year's Day incident, the victim, was he from the Calgary area or from anywhere else in Canada that you can tell us?
My understanding is he's resided in Calgary for over 5 years.
Anything else?
I just wanted to clarify, yesterday they said, the duty inspector said that witnesses were cooperating, so I just want to clarify, are they cooperating or not?
Well, witnesses come forward and they cooperate and they attend and they give statements, but if the statements, don't yield much information or they're not willing to provide perhaps things they saw or they didn't see, it's tough for us to move forward. We understand why people would be anxious to say things, and I've already commented on here today. So we're working with the people in our service that have those relationships in those communities to reach out to make sure that we're getting that message across, that we have the ability here to protect people with information, to foster good discussions, and to move investigations forward. I feel as though we're moving in the right direction. These investigations, both of them, are moving forward. Just like any professional investigation, we want to speak to everybody with information so we get a complete picture.
Can you also clarify, you said that this morning in Rosedale you responded to reports of gunshots. Can you say if this individual was shot? Like, I'm not saying cause of death, but can you confirm that he was in fact shot?
I can comment just on what you've asked, saying that we did respond to a call for gunshots, which led us to locating this victim.
But you don't want to say if he's been shot?
No, not at this time.
And going back to the New Year's Day shooting, I think yesterday we were told that there were people shot inside and outside the house. Is that the case?
We're still trying to figure all that out. For sure, we had a passerby driving in a vehicle that was shot. We can tell you right now, we believe the shots originated from inside the residence. Other than that, I'd like to paint a more complete picture for you, but we're still looking forward to talking to more people that have attended the party so we can provide that.
So the passerby that was driving, the gunshot was from the house, like there wasn't somebody on the street firing?
That's what we believe at this point, yes.
So that passerby, did they see anything?
We spoke to that person, and they were cooperative, of course, but no, at this point, it's tough to comment on something that happened so far away. That's one of the reasons why we worry about these types of incidents in Calgary, and we take all of them very seriously. Is that bullets travel fast and far, so.
So this passerby, how seriously injured was he?
I can't comment on the level of injury. They're not expected to pass away.
How far away was that victim? Was it in front of the house, or a block away, or in the alley? Or?
You know what? I'd like to answer that. I just don't know. I don't know. In a car on the road.
So of the 6 people who are alive, have you spoken to all of those people?
Yes.
And have they shed any light on what happened?
Some. When I said non-involved partygoers, if you can imagine, when something like that starts, there's confusion. People are leaving. The best we can piece together is there's some of the injured people were just trying to leave the residence when they were shot. So they have no idea how they were shot or what instigated the event itself.
For this morning's victim, have police identified who he is?
We know who he is, yes, and we've scheduled.
Do you know who he is because of prior?
Well, I can't comment on that. We know who he is. We have an autopsy scheduled for the 5th. After that point, we'll be able to release his identity.